So you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself and where you've come from, what you like to do?
Great, yeah. So I'm from Stockton-on-Tees, a little town in the northeast of England, and I've lived here my whole life. When I'm not running a way out charity, you usually find me at the beach. I'm quite a keen surfer. I'm also one of 8 children. I'm the oldest.
Wow.
So I've got 3
Big
brothers,
family.
4 sisters. Yeah, makes amazing Christmases.
I bet.
They're never ever boring. So yeah, I just like to hang out with friends, eat food. Really like food.
Great. And so what did you do before a way out?
Wow. Well, I studied pharmacology at Leeds University, and one of the reasons for me kind of getting into, even wanting to study drugs was partly because of people who had grown up with had really kind of got involved in the drug scene and had quite a negative impact on their lives. So it was just a subject that I was interested in, but decided to study it and did my final dissertation in drugs prevention and kind of researching effective prevention, how you could actually help young people make positive choices. But did what most graduates do, and I left uni and just got a kind of job in kind of marketing, which was really good, really enjoyed it. But for a few reasons, and particularly I think God was starting to do stuff in my life, and I started to really kind of review where my life was going and what I was going to do with the rest of it.
Okay, so how did that lead on to starting a way out?
Well, okay, I decided to give up my job with the marketing company, and I went and did some travelling. Went to Southeast Asia and spent some time doing some work with missionaries and some work backpacking. And I didn't know at the time that was going to have any impact on my life. But one of the things that I was on this journey of kind of becoming a Christian and spending time with these missionaries and really seeing the way that they lived really kind of impacted me, and particularly seeing that they were giving their lives up for a cause. And I think there was lots of things that happened. There was just a real journey, and while I was backpacking, I also found myself building relationships with girls who were in the bars who were actually in prostitution, and it was just, I was just really interested in their lives and why they'd ended up on the streets and that kind of thing. And when I came back to Stockton, I actually got involved in doing some volunteering, joined a local church, and really felt like I wanted to just do more and see that side of my life grow more. So I started volunteering with a youth church, and also with a kind of soup kitchen project.
Okay. Here in Stockton?
Yeah, so just down the road from here actually. And when I was on the soup kitchen, there was, all sorts of people that came on, but there was 2 particular people who came on the bus one night, and one was a 12-year-old boy, and I was like, you really can't be on this bus, this is for people with drug addictions. And he was like, oh well, I'm a drug addict, and I was just like, no way.
Gosh, 12 years old.
And he'd been on methadone since the age of 11, he'd been taking heroin since the age of 10, and it was like this was just a child in front of me. And then I met his cousin, who was 15 years old, and she'd been basically put on the streets by an older boyfriend. She was given heroin by him, and then she was sent on the streets to perform sexual acts to men. But it wasn't until I was in the youth, I did my first night of youth work at the local church, and so not being brought up in the church, I had no idea that church could be really lively and full of life and full of young people even. Like, it was just a complete unknown. I just saw these church buildings and didn't really give it too much thought, but definitely thought they were quite irrelevant. But then I discovered this it was like this underworld of like activity, and these young people were just having an amazing Friday night. They were singing, dancing, there was so much life in that room, and I was like, wow. And but then there was just a moment that the music went quiet, and I closed my eyes, and just, it was like I was just back on that bus, and I was back on looking at a different part of Stockton, and I saw the girl who was 15, and I saw her stood on that street corner waiting for a car to come and pick her up, and I knew that at that point that she was selling her body on the streets while another group of young girls were in front of me singing and laughing and dancing, and it just broke my heart. I was like, how can two different groups of young people be living side by side in the same town, probably went to the same school, but one's safe in a church on a Friday night, mum's going to come and pick her up in a few hours, and another one's waiting for a man to come and pick her up so he can perform sexual acts with her, and it's just broke my heart.